So let's talk about suffering in the world and how ultimately suffering is just a trick that the ego plays on all of us. And suffering really is no different than any other addiction. And it's only in our suffering that the ego can point its finger to something or somebody else. And it's always something or someone else's fault, because that's how the ego keeps the game of separation going. And it keeps us looking outside of ourselves and keeps us seeing ourselves as separate identities, completely cut off from our source. But if we learn to see things for what they really are, then we see that suffering really only comes because we're trying to achieve the impossible. And the impossible is to be anything other than what we really are, what we've always been, and what we were created to be, which is infinite, pure consciousness, love. But because we've forgotten who we are, we try to fill that deep void and that deep hole in our souls through all the various ways and means of the world. Yet no matter what we do and achieve in the world, or what we don't do and don't achieve in the world, nothing fills that deep void in our soul. And nothing fills that lack that we all feel. And it doesn't fill the void or the lack because we're looking in all the wrong places. And we're constantly looking out there, going from one thing to the next, just going in circles, and never finding that everlasting peace or happiness. And that's because nothing external can bring real lasting peace or happiness. It always ends in misery, because nothing outside of you can make you complete or make you whole. And this really is the ego's game, to keep you constantly looking for something outside of yourself, constantly seeking something external, constantly keeping you chasing and never finding that peace or happiness. And so you stay forever stuck, just constantly seeking and searching, looking for that elusive something to finally bring you peace. And it's something that you'll never find out there because you can't. And the ego knows this. And that's exactly what the ego wants. It wants to keep you looking out there, to keep you trapped, and to keep the illusion of separation maintained, and convince you that your identity doesn't lie in who you are or within. Your identity lies in your career, your status, your family, whatever it might be. But it's not about giving up any of these things that we put our identity in. We can still do and have and achieve all of these things, and it really doesn't make a difference either way, because it's really just a question of identity, and that's really the only thing that's going to make any difference at all. Because by knowing who you are and knowing your real identity, you no longer need to try and create a false identity to try and fill that sense of lack or to make you complete or whole, because you know that you're already whole and you're already complete. And so you no longer need anything to give you a false sense of power, security, a false sense of self. And so you still do and you still have all of these things, but you no longer suffer. And you don't suffer because you know that it's not who you are. So if you lose your health, if you lose your wealth, your relationship, your career, your money, or whatever it might be, your identity isn't affected in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, you don't suffer. And your identity really was never affected. And who you are was never affected. And it was always just a game that your ego played to keep you trapped in separation and to keep you hidden from yourself and suffering, pain, fear, guilt. None of it was ever real. And the ego just led us all into this labyrinth of illusion where every single road leads to a dead end. Literally, because every road of the world obviously leads to death. But by recognizing that, we can rise above it and we can stop feeding the ego's need for suffering and pain and death. And we can begin to laugh as we realize how fooled we've all been. And as we remember who we are, we realize that we never had to look anywhere outside of ourselves. And that everything we've always wanted has always been right here, inside of us. And it never actually left us. We just fooled ourselves into believing that it had.